Absolutely not is normalizing the standard, period. If you bring the whole table, then you can sit with us. We're bringing all the uncomfy combos and creating an unapologetic space to drive the culture forward respectfully. Cause it seems like everyone wants to keep their opinions in the comment section. Absolutely not. What is up, world? It's your girl, Alora, and we're back with your favorite podcast, Absolutely Not, hosted by yours truly, a girl with unpopular opinions. Be sure to tune in every week for new episodes featuring your favorite topics. Today on the show, we have author Ryan Weems and host of the Unsolicited Opinions podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, your podcast is very, very dope.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you were able to be a guest.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your post last week or the week before, and I just had to have you on the show.
Mm-hmm. Did you like my post?
I loved it. I have a lot to say about it, too.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to spend some time with us, and I hope that you have a positive experience going forward.
I already know we will. Like, for those who don't know, we've had a few conversations a while ago, and every conversation has been good, positive, and it just take a long time, huh?
Yeah, I feel like we both really reach enlightenment
Mm-hmm.
after talking to each other.
Yes,
So just brace yourselves. This might be a rather lengthy podcast, but I promise you're going to learn some good stuff.
I agree.
So I guess that leads me to my first question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to dating, what are some things that you look for now as opposed to when you were younger?
I think now, like my top two is probably character and accountability. I think before I would just kind of date and just if I liked them, that was it. But I didn't really question like their character or their morals or how they moved. Because, you know, some people, when you date them, they will only do things for you, but not everybody else. And I think that how you treat everyone and how you act towards everyone says more about your character than how someone just treats you by themselves. So
You said a mouthful because I see all of those posts on TikTok and on Twitter and pretty much any social media app where women will be like, I want a man that's only nice to me. I want a man that's mean to everybody in the room except me. And I always thought that kind of always gave me an ick. Like, I want a guy who's genuine, who has, like you said, good character, whose personality really shines. I want him to reflect who I am. I don't want them to think I'm just some angry monster running around here.
yeah, I agree with that. And I don't know why, but I guess it took me a while to mature to learn. And I think a lot of people should look more for that somebody's character. Like when you're not around, how are they going to act? Are they going to still speak highly of you, or are they going to start cutting up when you're not around?
Exactly.
Like that's character, yeah.
And then when you even think about it, like if a person's actions are based on how they feel towards a person, that's not good because if they like you today, they're going to treat you well. But if they don't like you tomorrow, they're going to snake you just like they did everybody else. So if they treat everybody fairly, if they treat everybody with generosity and give everybody grace, then that says way more to me than a person that's...
Yeah, you on it. You on point. You on point. Yeah, same thing is just, what's the other thing I said? Character and, I know I'm getting old, but come on. Accountability.
Yes.
That's very big too. And I think it's easy to be accountable when you're not in that emotional space. The same thing for me, I struggle with that too. When you may say something like, you need to work on this. And it's like, I don't do this, or I don't act this way. And it's like, I probably do act that way.
Yeah.
And if you can find someone can be accountable in that moment, or even if it takes time, that means that y'all will always progress. Like at every stage, y'all will always progress because y'all all care about y'all growth.
Exactly. That is so true. And like you said, it's all about being accountable and the way that you respond to situations. And I've even had to learn, like in my adulthood, that like sometimes you have to separate the head from the heart. Like I might act a certain way when I'm more emotional or when I'm feeling something deeply, but that doesn't validate my actions.
Right, that's
entirely.
very true.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you said a mouthful, and that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So I guess now, how have your past relationships affected your current ones?
That's a loaded question. My past relationships affect my future ones. I just think that, for one, I wasn't taught. Like, my mom didn't teach me how to date.
Yeah.
I think that's very important because I know men do it with women, like their girls, but I don't know too many moms who done that with their boys. It's just me personally. I think that I didn't look for certain like qualities in a woman. I just, if I liked you, and that was it. But I think there are certain traits and certain qualities that you should look for. So I think just now, as opposed to back then, it's just again character, accountability, um, their future. Like, are they planning for their future, or are they just living it now? Partying, just little stuff like that. I think it's more than having a good time. It's about how do y'all see y'all growing? How do you see family? What's your perspective on this? Have you been to therapy? What's something that you know you need to work on? Because if I ask you
Those
that and you say nothing, that's a red
red
flag.
flag.
Yep. Yeah.
Those
So
are some good questions,
yeah.
and the therapy one is very important because I've met several people, men and women, who don't find value in therapy or don't feel like it's something that's needed. And to me, like, if you haven't gone to therapy, we don't even need to be talking because you don't deserve the healed version of me. It took a long time to get here.
Man, talk about it. Talk about it. So what's something that you learned in therapy that you learned about yourself and you feel like other people in general can take from that?
One thing I will say is being a people pleaser has really kept me behind. And I didn't realize this until I got older and started talking to my therapist. I didn't even realize that some of the traits and characteristics that I exuded were that of a people pleaser. Like, I can be a people pleaser when it comes to my friends. Like, I choose to do things even if I don't want to, even if they maybe don't align with my morals, or if I just simply don't feel like it. I can be a people pleaser when it comes to like family. If they say something, then I agree with it, even though it doesn't, I don't truly agree with it. Or if I don't actually feel that way, I'll just, I feel like I was afraid to be an adult for a very long time. And that really kept me behind in my career, in my professional life, and even in my relationships. Like, one of the hardest things that I had to overcome in my current relationship was being a people pleaser. He didn't like the way I acted different around certain people. And I'm not talking about like I'm more cocky around certain people or I do certain things, but he would notice that I wasn't quite myself when I was in certain spaces, and that bothered him. Because I should be able to feel comfortable around people that I call friends, around people that I consider close to me enough to be myself in all spaces. And so that's something that is really challenging me now, because as a Pisces, and I hate getting into zodiac signs, but as a Pisces, because we're a water sign, we tend to take the shape and form of different people and different things when that might not necessarily be us. And so I feel like I lived my whole life in camouflage, and I'm just now finally coming into who I am.
That's a good one. And I would have never known that meeting you, because I don't know, I just would have never guessed that meeting you. Because you just seem like you know who you are, and no matter what anybody else does, I'm going to do what I feel is right, or I'm going to do what I want to do regardless. So
yeah, you met
I learned
Allura
something new.
2.0. You met Allura 2.0. That was actually before I started going to therapy, but therapy has definitely helped. I've been on this journey of like coming in to myself, figuring out exactly who I am for a while now, like probably for the last 4 or 5 years, but I think I'm just now finally starting to realize it. And it might just be that my prefrontal cortex is starting to develop, but yeah, I'm finally getting around to figuring out who I am.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna ask one more question on the therapy thing. So what's some tools that your therapist gave you, without getting too personal, that you feel like other people, because there's a lot of people pleasers, I'm sure. I think even I was one at one point. Like, what's some tools that they can take that he or she gave you that they can use to be better at that?
That's a good question. So one thing that I've started doing before and after therapy is journaling, because I feel like at first I used to journal all the time, like during COVID, but journaling while being in therapy is completely different task. I journal before to kind of document my feelings, to kind of validate myself and to go over the talking points that I want to have in my therapy session. But after therapy, I'm really able to put the common sense and like the positive spin on whatever that I was feeling after having that session and talking to a professional about it. Because before it's just like kind of woe is me.
Yeah,
You're feeling sad for yourself. But after hearing a therapist's perspective, you're like, oh, okay, so it might not actually be that bad. She might not be talking to me just because she simply don't feel like it. I don't have to get in my feelings. I've learned not to take things personally.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
That is something that I've done my whole life. And that even contributes to being a people pleaser, being afraid to say no because you feel like somebody will be upset with you or somebody's going to start treating you differently. And so, yeah, journaling is definitely one. Journaling before and after to talk through your feelings. And then also challenging yourself enough to be able to stand up for yourself in the current moment.
Yes.
Because
Right
you
now.
can go to therapy all day long, but if you don't actually apply what you're learning, then you're just going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now, like, even on social media, as I used to be afraid to like respond to comments, I would be afraid to really even show my personality or talk on social media. Like before, I think even when you met me,
Yeah.
I was just a girl that posted pictures. I was just a cute girl. But I got on TikTok and I started talking, and I made a post, like a funny post. Somebody got butthurt. And they responded to that post. And from there, like, I just started standing up for myself and responding to comments on social media and in real life. And even with my boss, I learned how to do all of that professionally as well. And I'm proud of myself.
That's so dope. That's dope. That's super dope. That's super dope. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a fun question for you.
Okay.
Since we're talking about, since you like to talk about dating so much, would you rather marry someone you love but they are broke? They're gonna be broke forever.
Ooh.
Or marry someone you like a little bit. The person that you like a little bit, you're never gonna love them, but they have a lot of money.
This is so hard. I love a good bag. I really do. I love shopping. I love going to expensive dinners. Okay, so if the person doesn't have money, do I still get to keep my money?
Yes.
Or am I broke too?
No, your money is your money.
Oh, okay. Then I'll marry the person for love and keep my money. And I'll still get to do the things that I enjoy while being in love with the person I want to be with.
Okay, so we're gonna put a plot to it. So basically you're saying you'll marry the broke guy that you love, like you're in love. But this is the type of broke he is. He can never take you on a date and pay with his money. You can never go on no trips and pay with his money. Everything will be upon you to do.
Okay, then I don't love him then. I'm sorry. Okay, so then essentially I could just get with the rich guy and I guess be unfulfilled. I mean, that's what dating really is anyway.
But the guy you love, though, he may check off all the other boxes. He may be super romantic. He may be supportive, always there for you, emotionally intelligent with you. He has everything. He's just broke.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best answer I'm gonna get.
I mean, this particular question is something that I've struggled with my whole entire life. Like, I have been on both sides of the spectrum. I've dated guys who didn't really have a lot of money, but I loved them. And then I've dated rich guys, and it always pans out to where I never really like the rich guy. Like, he just has money, but it's never, like, fulfilling. And I think that goes or coincides with, it's kind of like when women who don't have an ugly face, don't have a personality, guys with money is their entire personality.
That's a good one. Like,
everything comes back to money. In any conversation that you have with them, if they take you out to dinner, it's like, yeah, this is an expensive place. Did you like your steak? I'm going to order the most expensive bottle of wine, but you ain't never had nobody do that for you. And it just, like, it's to a point where, like, it's so cringy. Like, you can't even develop a connection. So in terms of that, I'm gonna have to stay with the broke guy. We're gonna have to find a way to get him to be successful.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it. And that brings me to my next Question.
Ooh.
How do you feel about women who date for money?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
So when that first became a thing, that was absolutely absurd to me. I've always been like, I mean, you'll hear me talk on TikTok and say that I was ugly, but I've always been like a girl that had looks. Like, I wasn't just scudded out here. And I always had friends, like I told you, I've dated both sides of the spectrum. I've dated rich guys and I've dated guys that didn't really have much. But I was always that person that was in a long-term relationship. So I was with a guy from the time that I was 15 until I graduated from college, and he didn't really have a whole lot of money. And I had friends that would always ask me, like, girl, why are you with him? Like, I get he's cute and all, but he don't have no money. Like, he can't take you nowhere. He can't take you on dates. And I'm just like, I mean, that's who I like. But after experiencing heartbreak, like once we broke up and I got into this world of dating, I see why women do it. Like, okay. So when situationships became a thing, it ultimately made dating unfulfilling. It was a very unfulfilling experience. And so women are like, okay, well, if there's not going to be any emotional connection in this, then I'm just going to go after and get what I can. Which also leads me to the point of, I grew up in the Disney Channel rom-com era, where every time you turn on the TV, is some TV show or movie about people being in love. And I grew up in the era where they romanticized the girl next door. They made her, like, the low maintenance girl was always the girl that got the guy. And then they villainized people like Regina George. And in my childhood, I'm like, oh my God, Regina George was such a mean girl. But now as an adult, I'm like, was Regina George a mean girl? Or did Regina George just know her worth? Did Regina George just have standards? Regina George was particular about what she put in her body. She only hung out with people that were like her. She didn't just go around here dating anybody. And then you have the girl next door who's like the hero. She's so low maintenance. She wears her hair down. She eats hot dogs. She doesn't really have a lot of friends. She's shy, doesn't go to any of the social events. And that's the girl that gets the guy. And so at a young age, I'm like, oh, okay. So in order for me to get a guy, all I have to do is be simple. All I have to do is be low maintenance, not be too much, not be argumentative. And now as an adult looking back, I'm like, that actually was not the message at all. What they're saying is that guys will go after the girl who doesn't understand their value because he's too insecure to be with the girl who does.
Say that one more time.
Guys will go and be with a girl who doesn't understand her value because he's too insecure to be with the girl who does. Preach, Pastor Allura.
That's going to ruffle some feathers. That is going to ruffle some feathers. Okay, continue preaching.
And throughout my whole life, like when I was with the guy that I was with from 15 up until 20, like there was a great awakening that happened in me after that. Like I really thought I wanted just this simple life. I wanted to graduate from college and get married and have kids immediately. Like, girl, what the hell is you talking about? No, you don't. It wasn't until I got older because the dating scene changed, you know? It went from guys loving the low maintenance girl. I don't know where men like grab some confidence, but now they shooting for the stars. They going for the girl that has all the Instagram followers, who knows her worth, knows what she brings to the table, and they don't care. Like, they got that much confidence. And so when I saw those roles reversed, it made me be okay or feel comfortable enough to know that I can have more and to know that it's okay to want more. It's okay to like nice things. It's okay to want to go on expensive dates. I'm not saying that that's a requirement, but it's okay to want those things. It's okay to want the nice bag or to like nice jewelry. I spent my whole life like, oh no, I only wear Kendra Scott or I only carry Coach. Girl, no you don't. No you don't. Be for real.
Okay, so I have I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think you're right. Now, the issue that I see is that I think people want things, but they don't want to accept what comes with that. So
Preach.
I'm gonna speak on both sides, the men and women. If you want to date somebody who has 1 million followers, who looks a certain way, you can't demand that when you go out or get mad that all these guys are in her DMs are trying to talk to her, because
Preach.
that's what comes with dating someone like that. And
Mm-hmm.
the same thing with a woman, if they want to date a guy with money, you have to know what they want and accept what comes with him. You're not
Exactly.
saying you got to accept, for example, cheating or accept that, whatever the case may be, but just like the woman who has 1 million followers, this guy has options.
Mm-hmm.
So it's certain things that he likes that if you date him, just understand what comes with that. And that's with anybody. It's not
Exactly.
even just about 1 million followers or $1 million. That's anybody. If you date a black woman and you're not used to dating black women, it's something that comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Very strong-minded, strong personalities. It's a lot of great things, but same thing with dating a certain type of guy. If you date a heavier set guy, he may like to eat all the time, but you may not like to eat as often as he does.
Mm-hmm.
That's what comes with dating someone like that. I just think that
Absolutely.
if people was more aware and more accountable and have an understanding of who you dating and what comes with that, if you can accept that, then go ahead. But you can't date someone and make your own rules.
Absolutely. It's just like when guys meet a girl that's out and she's dressed
Mm-hmm.
how she dresses, like, wearing the cute stuff that we wear from Fashion Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he gets with her, he wants her to dress like a nun and turn off
Nope,
all her social media accounts.
can't do it.
I feel so sorry for all my friends that have been taken by men like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, rest in peace.
Nah, you can't do that. You gotta accept them for who they are, or just don't mess with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess that's pretty much what's happening now. Guys are going for the girl that knows her worth, but they're robbing her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're taking away all her followers.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking away every part of her that made her who she is,
Mm-hmm.
all just to say, like, oh, this is who I'm with.
Okay. And I think also it's we have to make better decisions with dating. That'll come with growth, but I think that, like, I could say me, for example, I didn't always pick the best choices, so I'm not gonna always blame them or say women ain't shit. That ain't the case. Some of them wasn't, but it also I probably wasn't either, because I attracted them and I picked them. So to my point, there's some things that I need to do better moving forward with who I pick. But at the same time, I won't put all the blame on the women. And the same thing with women and men saying men ain't shit. It's just maybe the guys you dated ain't shit, or what did you do wrong? Maybe they are shit. Maybe y'all just aren't compatible.
Yeah,
Instead of somebody not being shit, maybe y'all just are good people that's not meant to be together.
that's deep. I'm going to play devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
but hear me out.
I'm listening.
Hear me out.
That's what we here for. I'm listening.
I have dated, like, okay, the worst guy you could ever date
Mm-hmm.
is the fuck boy that thinks he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he will trick you, like, gaslight you into thinking that he's a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does you so dirty, you don't even see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, but I thought he was a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be my experience
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to dating. Like, all the people that I've talked to or been in little situationships with,
Mm-hmm.
it's either been that he was a good guy
Mm-hmm.
or a good guy in disguise,
Mm-hmm.
or that he was a really bad guy and I had no connection with him.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Do you think we vet the person long enough? Meaning, like, time, no matter what, you can only be a fake good guy for so long. Whatever representative you meet, it's only gonna last for so long. Now, don't get me wrong, people can go on for years
Yeah.
and do it. So you can get fooled and it's completely not your fault. But do you think we vet long enough for this person and we see them all 4 seasons? We see them when they're mad, we see them when they hurt, how they act when they're emotional, how they act when they're super happy, when they don't get what they want. Like, how do they respond to that?
That is so true. And you know what? That might be why all of my situationships or moments like that have been short term.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Okay, so, like, at first I thought I was the girl that didn't really pick up on red flags.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I am. Maybe I am. I'm about to pat myself on the back. Because I always thought that I was the girl who chases the ending. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to hear the words, like, oh, it's not working out, in order for me to move on. Or I have to be the one to say those words. But now, like, looking back, there were a lot of times that I didn't say them. Like, I just never texted them again, or, I mean, not in, like, a ghosting way.
I was
but,
just about to say that.
but, like, there was no connection. There was no need for a conversation again after that.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I'm glad that I can say that, because all of the situations that I have been in lasted a couple weeks, maybe a month, and I was done.
Wow. So what you learned from that?
I've learned that I know how to pick up on red flags. I might be the red flag expert. Check out my TikTok. Check out my TikTok.
That's a good alias, the red flag expert. Somebody might steal that. You have trademarked that.
Yeah, copyright.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I really thought that I was that girl that always had to hear the words "it's not happening" or "it's not working" in order for me to believe that and move on. But looking back, that might not be the case. And like anytime I see somebody moving funny, or like, I don't like inconsistency. So once you introduce inconsistency into the relationship, I'm a person that functions solely on routine. Once the routine isn't routining, then like, I'm gonna ask you what's up. If you give me one of those weird answers like, oh, I had a lot going on, or I don't know, you know, one of those strange answers, I'm like, okay, like, let's just end it there. And I keep moving.
Okay. So I got another question. When you meet somebody, right? Say you're single, right, and you meet someone, would you rather meet their representative or who they really are? Because the thing is, when we meet people, we want to put on a good first impression, right? But then at the same time, you're gonna meet more of this side of me because this is the everyday me. But sometimes that everyday side isn't the side that we want to see at first. But that's the side you're gonna get though.
Yeah.
So knowing that, which would you rather meet?
I know this might sound like a dumb answer, but I'm gonna go with the representative because I want to see how well you can clean yourself up. I want to see how you look in a job interview. I want to see how you look talking to people on social media, and then, like, you know, I want the honeymoon phase for a little while, and then I want to meet the real you. Like, trick me for a little while. Let me be a little confused. It's the toxic in me. I'm not fully healed yet.
Oh my God, yeah. I think a lot of people would want that. I think a lot of people want that because it would be hard to. That's like somebody showing up on a date and she's showing up in a ponytail with no makeup, and you gonna feel like she's not putting in effort, but that's her. That's what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
So I guess it depends on what you looking for.
And I feel like that's just the order of how things go. Like, you don't go into a job interview
For sure,
and
I
tell
agree.
them like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the job done, but I'm gonna take a nap. Like,
Right. Yeah, you're right.
You
That's a
don't
good
do
point.
that. You go in as the best version of yourself, and you do the job, or you get the job, and then you do things according to your schedule or your routine. And I feel like it's the same thing in relationships, but it's important to find not necessarily the person that's going to put up with that, because at the end of the day, like, you do have to break certain bad habits, and it might take a lifetime to do, like you said, but having the right person that's going to bring out those good qualities in you to outshine those bad qualities, and that's going to help you continue working on the qualities that aren't so great.
I agree. This is the preaching moment right there.
Who would you like to meet first, the representative or the real person?
I'm simple at first, so I would probably want to meet the regular person, but just be like, don't fart in front of me on the first date. Like, let's not go that far. You know what I mean? But like, I just want to see, like, you know, just be yourself. Like, just show that inner child. Or if you want to be emotional that first time, cool. I can decipher like if you playing or not. But I kind of want to see, and then we can get to the representation a little later on. But I just want to see the real you. Like, how much of that are you gonna bring out? Because I've been in situations where I've seen the real them later, and I was like, I wouldn't have signed up for this if I knew you was like this. I wouldn't have done it. So I probably half and half, but more so, let me see the real you first, and then let me decide if I want to go forward.
And you know what? In some situations, I've said the same thing, like with that guy I told you that disguised himself as this great person and then ended up being a terrible guy. But at the end of the day, I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Thanks.
To push us closer to that alignment. So even though things don't pan out the way that we want them to, they pan out the way that God might want them to. And with people like you and I, because I feel like you and I are the same, like, we have like a divine ordinance. And like, our life is pretty much already pre-planned. Like, there are other people where like things like law of attraction and manifesting does work, but for us, our lives are already predetermined. So it's really nothing we can do to change the direction of the way life is going. because it's already pre-planned. Like, this is the destination. You got to get there somehow. And so I realized that, I think yesterday.
Really?
Yes. I was talking to two of my friends about how, like, you know, we've all tried law of attraction. We've tried manifesting and even praying. And, like, obviously, like, you know, the simple prayers are answered, but the more intricate ones don't quite manifest in the material the way that I would have pictured them to. Which is leading me to another point. Might not have pictured them to, but in the end they do manifest, but the way that it was intended to. And my next point is that the way things are orchestrated, or the way that things are aligned, are all a part of the path that we take. And, like, I know that we each have, like, you know, you could take one path, but it's still going to lead you to that same destination. Like, I don't know if you've seen that movie, it's on Netflix. It's about, what's it called? It's about a girl. She's in high school, she graduates, and she finds out that she's pregnant by her best friend. But there's, like, the screen is split. So on one side, she decides to have the baby. On the other side, she was never pregnant. And they both, like, continued living their dreams. I mean, obviously, in one side, the girl's, like, raising her child and still trying to, like, pursue art. And then the girl on the left-hand side is pursuing art. She's moved to LA and is living out her dream, but she's still miserable. And at the end of the movie, both versions of herself end up in that same destination. The girl's on her TED Talk. She's showing all of her artwork, and it's on display, but it was different journeys to get there. And I feel like that's how our lives are orchestrated.
Absolutely. And meeting you and talking to you is just like how that goes with the movie is, even if you want to get out the spotlight, you can't. That's just your aura. Like, that's whatever you do, that's what is gonna come with that. Even if you don't want to, you can try your best to push away and shy away. It may happen for a little bit, but that gravity is gonna pull you right back to whatever you're doing. So whether that's singing, social media, podcasting, like, whatever you do, you just got that thing that's just your path.
And that, preach, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's what happened with me. Like, I was pursuing music heavily. Never ever thought about, like, having a podcast or being social media famous outside of, like, Instagram. And I wanted to initially be famous for music. But I always had, like, a greater message that I wanted to display. Like, it was always more than music for me, but that was what I wanted to be known for. And then, like, I had maybe 1,000 followers on TikTok. I was on there doing dances. I made one post and it grew my following. I had 1 million views overnight, and I'm just like, it was one of those moments. And, like, all my life, like, leading up to this point, I've always been the person, I guess it's the people pleaser in me, who wanted to, like, live in the shadows. Like, I never wanted to be the person in the spotlight. Well, publicly. Secretly, I did want to be in the spotlight, but I was scared to, like, assume that position. So, like, growing up, I was a dancer. I wanted to be a backup dancer, but mentally, like, I only wanted to be a backup dancer so that I eventually could be singing backstage and somebody be like, oh my God, I want to sign you. And then the situation that happened with TikTok, which led me to this podcast, I always wanted to have my own talk show. Like, that was later in the plan for me, like, when I'm probably Wendy Williams' age. But everything in life happens the way it's intended to, and the podcast came a bit early.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're talking about, like in the movie, where some stuff is just gonna pull you there. And again, man, no matter what you do, you can stand them shadows, but it's gonna pull you.
Exactly.
Yeah, your path is already set. It's just a matter of if you embrace it, or you can fight it, but you're gonna lose every time. So yeah, that's exciting to hear, because I understand that. So that's exciting to hear.
Yeah, and I've learned that life is much easier to live when you go where you're led versus fighting. So yeah, it's just, that's the way the life is, and I'm excited to see what's next on the horizon for me. Who knows? I might end up being the president. I don't know. I might have to delete my Instagram for that, though.
Imagine that at a campaign run, the TikTok showing up.
They're like, oh my God, this girl just said that, what did I say? Oh, she said that she brings the whole table. Yeah, I do, in fact.
That'll be fun. That might be your campaign, the hook.
Period.
Oh my
You
God.
know what? Yes, we can. Bring the whole table. We love to see it.
Oh man.
But nah, I am so glad that you were able to be on the show today, Ryan. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you,
and
thank you.
I'm looking forward to having you again if you're up for it.
Oh, for sure. I got some stuff coming out in the near future, so whenever I get that going, I'll be more than happy to come back.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Absolutely Not the Podcast with your host, yours truly, Alora, A Girl's Unpopular Opinions. Be sure to tune in every week for new episodes on Monday. Be sure to follow me at It's Alora's World on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Now I'm going to kick it over to Ryan.
You can follow me on Instagram, Ryan_J Weems, WEEEMS. Unsolicited Opinions on YouTube. What else do we have? I think that's good enough right now.
Your book.
Oh, I'm sorry. I be forgetting. My book, Dear Self, on Amazon. I'm working on a third book. I'm coming out with a card game, so all that will be in the near future. But I think that's it for now. This was so fun.
It was
This
fun.
was dope. This is fun.
Thank you so much for being on my show.